This week's meeting was a little bit different. We were short-bodied for a couple of different reasons. The meeting itself, the content of the meeting was very good. It was all useful, practical information for both myself and Brian as a recruit. I also got to, we brought back the research lab, and I got to see any differences from what was researched last week compared to this week, which is always going to be useful because it's direct comparison. Yeah, I never didn't appreciate ultimatums. People have to make ultimatums at all different points of life for all different reasons. Sometimes they're life or death ultimatums, sometimes they're career ultimatums, and sometimes they're a mix of both. So, yeah, I appreciate them, but I don't think it's changed. I've always had that thought on them. Buyers and sellers always come first at Right Choice, and it still shocks me that they don't always come first in the industry as a whole. Um, that's that's the most important part of your business. Just about any business, the most important part is the people who you're working with. So, um, yeah, they have to come first, and if they don't, I'm well aware that there's zero tolerance. I was aware of the zero tolerance when I showed up. I think Brian and Jill might have a better idea of the zero tolerance now. I think it's good that he's taking it upon himself to further his information on the back end part of real estate and running a brokerage. I think that's very important for him to do. I feel like it gives me a little bit more peace of mind knowing that he's taking the initiative to grow himself as well as what we're all doing here to grow ourselves. And I think it's a big step for the brokerage. Um, I would definitely say I'm going to miss Jocelyn, um, but I'm really happy that he's taking some initiative to do it himself instead of just trying to find another replacement. He's going to learn, and I believe, and I don't know if other people do, but I think the position that he's kind of changing is actually going to change it for the industry. I said this, I think, after Jocelyn's first box video. She has an opportunity to finally give back end people that front end voice and change that for the industry. And I think maybe it was a little bit too much for her. She's got a lot on her plate. But I think with what Joe's doing now and what the brokerage decides to do with that, I think that'll be an industry changer. Yeah, the lab session was huge. We reflected a little bit on last week's lab session. I took notes off last week's lab session, and I actually put them to use this week. So the lab session we had this week was almost in direct comparison with last week, and it shows that when you take notes, you pay attention, you put in some initiative, you can change things, and you can improve on them. I still have stuff that I've got to improve on. We all do. Joe does. But I feel like the more we use the lab sessions, the more you can improve because it's right in front of you. You get to see and get different perspectives on anything that we're testing and that we're reflecting on. So I definitely don't want that to leave the meetings. I appreciate that. It helps a lot. So I chose one piece to be researched or analyzed because I knew that I handled it a little bit better than what was researched last week. I felt like I did a decent job, but I also felt like it was something that I wanted perspective on, and it was something that I knew people would have different ways of doing it. So I felt like I could really get a broad or not broad, a varying degree of things to do with that. So I chose it because after I made that happen, I knew it was something worth bringing to the table. So I was thinking about it then, but I wasn't. It's not like I was thinking about that all week, looking for something to analyze. But when it happened, almost immediately after, I thought instead of an on the spot and make the brokerage find something that they can analyze, I thought that was a good example of something that I could learn a lot from and just take the initiative and bring it into the research lab to get done. For me, I'm more than okay to put my stuff out there to be analyzed and definitely criticized at the open table. I think last week we talked about the competitive nature and pushing ourselves, and how the competitiveness in the industry, in the brokerage, motivates us. So for me, I'm very open to having that out there for everybody, because I feel like it helps me, right? It's going to push me. It's going to allow me to do things better. And the whole part of the competitive atmosphere here is doing everything better. Not just better than the competition, but better than I did 5 days ago, better than I did a month ago, and so on. So I like that we analyze it. I like that it's in front of different people. Analyzing it one-on-one wouldn't work because you're only getting one other perspective. If you both agree on that one thing, you don't learn anything. If you've got two people who agree on it one way, two people on another, and a third who's out in left field with a completely different one, that's where you're going to learn the things that you wouldn't otherwise pick up. Tonight's pre-meeting meal was something I actually have, two things that I've never had before. We had a pasta. So dealing with one of my sellers right now, they actually gifted me Marinelli's premium pasta sauce, which I've never had. I've had their, I guess it would be called regular. I've had that one and it was really good. And they gifted me the premium. So we wanted to try that. He had zucchini noodles, which I've never done before. I've done spaghetti squash, which is pretty good. But the zucchini noodles were delicious. It was a great add. We had some Hofstede beef, some Dunville beef, which is good. And the pasta sauce was unbelievable. I thought for a premium, I thought the price was high. So I'm like, it's a pasta sauce. But it was all local and it was delicious. It's definitely the best jarred pasta sauce I've had. I am not talking about the sauce because they're a seller of mine. The sauce was unbelievably good. If you've watched any of my previous box confessions, you know that I'm not scared of being a little bit harsh on people. And with Joe's reviews, any reviews that I've done on him, I'm okay telling you if I don't like it. The sauce was unbelievable, and it's definitely worth trying because it tasted like, even just straight out of the jar, you smell it. It's like you're at a restaurant paying top dollar for an Italian meal. It was very good pasta sauce. I don't even want to give Joe a score for tonight's meal because it wasn't Joe who did the hard work. We had pasta sauce that he didn't have to do anything with. It was made locally and phenomenally. We had Hofstede beef, which he didn't have to do anything with because that was local. That's done by them. All he did was cut up some zucchini into noodles. So, I mean, the food tonight was probably, I would say the food, probably like an 8.7. It was delicious, but like Joe's cooking, I don't even want to give that a rate because he doesn't deserve the credit on this one. This was everybody who provided for us. But my appreciation for Joe cooking and giving us this meal, that's like a 9.7 because he does give us some good meals and we support local. So I definitely appreciate the pre-meeting food, but he's not getting the credit on this one.